Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. Now, I normally drink some tea and talk about D&D, but today, because it is the first day of fall officially, I thought I would switch it up a little bit, and today instead I have some blackberry apple cider from a local orchard, and God, it is so good. And it came in a big, like, half-gallon jug, too, so I'm just as excited about having a giant glass half-gallon jug sitting around now, because who wouldn't be excited about that? Anyway, moving forward, diving into the news for today. Again, if you didn't see my video from yesterday, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is out now, obviously. It came out yesterday and is currently available everywhere, from what I can tell. D&D Celebration is coming up at the end of this week. Technically, actually, it starts tomorrow with its Session 0, which is its little, like, preview show. And we'll talk about that tomorrow when we get to that. But D&D Celebration is going to take the entire weekend, so if you are looking to fill your entire weekend with stuff, it's a good weekend for that. Finally, in news, I can't tell if this is a leak or a tease, because I cannot figure out where it originally came from, but there has been a leak/tease for Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, which is the book that comes out next month. People have, sort of given us already the general idea of what is going to be in the book that's coming out. Apparently there are going to be 70 different creature types that are being introduced. Not creature types. 70 different creatures that are being introduced. We only have 13 creature types. We don't need more. There are going to be 70 new creatures that are introduced. Almost all of them are dragon or dragon adjacent, but there has been again, leak/tease, unsure which one it is, for the Eye Drake and the Elder Brain Dragon. Just Google Elder Brain Dragon, and you'll figure out what I'm talking about pretty quick. Specifically, the art for those two has been leaked online somewhere. Again, either leaked or teased out. Not super sure. I'm not sure why they would be teasing it on the same day that Witchlight dropped, but I'm not a marketing professional, so I guess I really don't know. Not really my realm. Anyway, moving on from news in terms of streams. Today we have the 7 episode 6, which is weird and redundant, especially when I add this part. The 7 episode 6 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Dropout. That is the current ongoing Dimension 20 campaign. If you've kept up with it, fantastic. If not, all of it's on Dropout. You can subscribe to Dropout. I'm pretty sure there's a free trial of Dropout if you want to sort of get a feel for it. I know that it's a little bit different than, your traditional stream that would just be on Twitch, but it is very good. I am excited for the episode and all of that. That is the only stream that I have written down. Again, if you guys have streams or know of streams that you really enjoy, please let me know so that I can check them out and add them to my schedule, repertoire, roster thing, whatever it is that you want to call the announcement of streams that happens. They can obviously be on any day, because I talk about them 5 days of the week and we cover the rest of them on Fridays. So let me know if you know of any streams that you think I should be plugging on here as well. Now, diving into the topic for today, this one was actually suggested by a friend of mine, Callie at Sugar Spice and Bad Advice on TikTok. She wanted a bit on different ways to start an adventure that aren't just in a tavern. So I figured what better day to talk about starting an adventure than when we start a new season. So here we are. So in terms of starting an adventure, I know that a lot of people actually kind of struggle with this because getting that first little hook into the party isn't always particularly easy, right? It feels awkward or fabricated or, just kind of, until they actually get rolling on something. And that's fair. That's honestly one of the more difficult things to do a lot of the time, especially if you have newer players who are not used to the diving in. I mean, D&D is all about, improv and yes and, but if they're not really super wrapped up in the idea of like, well, this is the party we're gonna like, this is who we're gonna be, this is our adventuring party, then it's not always the easiest for them to like rationalize. Oh yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do it, while still remaining relatively in character. So normally people would give you like, oh, the 10 best places to start your adventure. I'm not gonna do that, because there are dozens of those. Instead, in my mind, because it's actually easier to think about it this way, there are 3 different tiers of how you start an adventure. Yeah, that's the end of that sentence. I thought there was going to be more, but I lost all the words that would have been after it. There's 3 different tiers to how you start an adventure, and they're not related to, like type of play. They're not related to, well, they're kind of related to type of play, but they're not related to like skill level of the players or anything like that. It's not, this is for new players, this is for intermediate players, this is for expert players. No, in my head, there are 3 different distinct pressure levels that you can start your adventure with, being low, medium, high. Really, it's sort of a gradient between lowest and highest, but they can sort of be broken down into that sort of general category split. The key at the beginning as the DM is for you to decide what tone you want to set for your adventure early on. So, getting into it, number 1, obviously, is your low pressure introduction type thing. These are your, this is where tavern meeting generally falls. So this is where your traditional, you meet in a tavern sort of thing comes in. And let me be clear, there is absolutely nothing wrong with meeting in a tavern. It is the tried and true trope for a reason. I totally get wanting to make it like a little bit more fancy, a little bit more exciting than that, but there's a reason that it is the go-to, or the the quote-unquote standard that people have used for a long time. There's nothing wrong with it. Crazy stuff happens in taverns, especially in this magical mystery fantasy land, where literally anything can happen. So, don't necessarily knock a tavern, but if you want to move past that and look at some other ones, other things in this low pressure category, in my mind, are things like dreams. Like if everybody in the party gets like a similar sort of dream that calls them to a place of some sort. Old friends and long lost family, old friends / long lost family, really help connect the players in a way. This one can be ramped up to be medium or high if you really push it that far. But usually for me, it's just that, like, you have an old friend or a long-lost family member that is dying or something, and you need to go see them before they pass away. This can be the same person for everybody. It can be people who are connected to each other or adjacent in some way. But just something that will call them all together from whatever, like, weird far stretches of the world that they are in, just to pull them together. A party is always another good one for low pressure situations, in my mind. Just having them all get invited to a party, and then have it just be a party. Nothing spectacular needs to happen. There doesn't have to like be a murder or something, but that could be a good medium pressure start to it. It could just be a party where they get to talking and they find out that they enjoy each other and yada yada yada. One thing leads to another, and boom, they form an adventuring party. Chance encounter. This is actually how I started my most recent home campaign. The chance encounter, they all ran into each other at the docks and then were immediately contracted by a little old man to help him out. The party still doesn't trust Martin, despite the fact that they haven't seen him in 52 different sessions, wherein they have like saved the world a couple of times over. But apparently we still don't trust the little old man that asked you to help him find his ring. It's all good. I'm not bitter about that at all. But a chance encounter, usually that one has to like then be paired with something else to get them motivated and moving, but just happening to run into each other and happening to be in the same place is fine. This is a magic game again of like fates and mystery, so it's not that big a deal if they just happen to bump into each other. My last one for low pressure is a festival fair or circus. This is actually how campaign 2 of Critical Role starts, if you think about it. Yes, they meet each other in a tavern in a way, but their adventure starts when they all go to the circus. So if you need a good example of the circus, I would check out, I think it's literally just episode 1, maybe also episode 2 of Critical Role Campaign 2, where they do just that. They just go to the circus. I'm not going to say anything more about what actually happens in case people haven't seen it and want to go watch it for that example. But you can turn that way up depending upon what other elements you want to add into the circus. Moving forward from the low pressure setting to the medium pressure setting. This one is one of my favorite setting levels, just because it doesn't make it feel like your players are, literally about to die in session 1. Sometimes that's fun, but most of the time, if you're starting a longer game, especially if you have newer players, you don't want that. You don't want them to think, "Oh God, I'm gonna die." Oh God. First up at the medium-ish level is owing a debt. Finding somebody, putting an NPC in the world where they owe a debt to them for one reason or another. You can have them write this in their backstory. You can specifically say, you owe this person something. What is it that you owe them, and why do you owe them that in session 0? You can have everybody sitting around. You can have them write it down and pass it to you. You can have them say it out loud. It doesn't really matter as long as everybody owes this person something, because then this person can call in that debt, and then the adventure can start from there. There is also the option of inheritance, similar to the long lost family member or old friend, where they are called from who knows where to come and claim the estate of somebody that they either know were related to or don't know at all. Because if they don't know who they are, that is honestly just as fun sometimes, trying to figure out why it is that they have been called to inherit a large sum of money or a large plot of land or something like that, despite the fact that they have no idea who this person is. They could also be hired on a job. This is kind of like the call in a debt one, but they're being paid for it offhand instead, and their reputation is at stake instead of, their house or something, like being burned down. I don't know. This one pairs really well with the calling in a debt. It forces them into a party together right out the gate, which is what you want, honestly. One of my favorite ones that I don't see done that much, but I know is done that much, is being arrested or starting off as prisoners. These are both great because it obviously immediately builds common ground in spite of the fact that they maybe have never interacted before. And honestly, if you've got one or two characters that are happy, chipper people who would have never ended up in jail, you can open the campaign with them getting arrested for something they didn't do or something like that, and have them meet the rest of them in a jail cell or in the prison. So honestly, it's a pretty good start, and I like it a lot. So it's odd to me that I don't see more people doing it, even though I do know that people do it. Finally, from medium, there is the no memories trope, quote unquote, no memories, where they wake up in like a ditch or in the middle of the woods or something, and their memories have been wiped for the last week, 2 weeks, month, 6 months, something like that. I wouldn't go all the way back to ever, because they can then build off of stuff with their backstory if you don't go all the way back to ever. But hey, your table, I'm not going to tell you how to run it. So this obviously also gives them a common ground, because suddenly they are all trying to figure out what happened in the last several weeks to months to up to years. Because having gaps in your memory is terrifying, especially if you live in a world where there are magic and dragons and, mind flayers and stuff like that. You don't want to lose memory of a bunch of stuff in that way. Stepping forward, turning the dial all the way to the right, we are now at the high pressure setting. There are less obvious examples for these, except for the fact that they are also super obvious. The examples for this are things like they are trapped in a burning building, 70 feet off the ground or something. They have to get out before the building burns and collapses on them. They are trapped on a sinking ship. They need to make their way out. If you have airships in your campaign, they are trapped on a plummeting airship. They are they are trapped in a city as like a rebellion or a siege hits, something like that. They are the chosen ones, chosen by gods via prophecy or dream or something. All of these essentially find the heroes in life or death situations most of the time, because Chosen Ones doesn't quite seem like life or death, but when you are, announced as the Chosen One, that's painting a pretty big target on your back for, the evil people of the world. So, definitely adding that in as part of it is kind of appropriate here. These are the ones where I wouldn't throw these at new players necessarily, but you also could. These are the ones where the players have to escape with their lives, and that is pretty much the best that they can do most of the time. Because if you are trapped in a blazing skyscraper, your level 1 character isn't going to be able to put out the fire. No matter how many times you cast Create Water, the fire's gonna win on that one. Sorry, my guy. That's just the way it goes. You're not gonna be able to fix the sinking ship when the only thing you can do to help it is cast Mending, which is only a foot square and takes a minute to cast, I'm pretty sure. It's just not going to happen. So the goal with the high pressure ones is to escape without dying. Or, honestly, if one of them does die, that makes a really good early plot hook. If they have some kind of obvious value, or if one of the other people in the party is connected to them in some way. And so the first thing that they have to do once they survive is to get their friend back. So these are, again, really, really great for starting off, I think, shorter games especially, because it turns the pressure up high early on, and then you can hold that line for a little while before you have to let some of it out, because otherwise it's just a constant slog of, oh god, we're gonna die constantly. You don't really want that. But these are a lot of fun to just kind of mess around with, and most of them are natural disaster kind of things. You could throw in a meteor strike or something, but what we're talking about here are the things, again, that threaten their lives in a big bad way. So those are my 3 different levels of starting an adventure in terms of what I think they actually represent. There are obviously hundreds of thousands more examples that will fit into those categories. These are just the ones that I had written down and wanted to list out for you guys. There is one thing I will say about all of these, and really about starting an adventure as a whole, and that is that the key is to have it be a tight enough space for the players to kind of have to do the thing that you want them to do as a DM, for them to have to work together, for them to have to collaborate in order to make it out or whatever. You don't want it to be so tight that there is no room to explore the space and the scene and everything like that, because you don't want to start off with a railroad. You just don't. But you kind of gotta keep it tight enough to where they don't just wander in the opposite direction. You have to come up with a reason why they would absolutely not just wander in the opposite direction. Because if they do, then there's no rest of the campaign. One of the players has just, or one of the PCs has just walked off, never to be heard from again, and they will not progress past their level 1 character. So keep that in mind, that you need to have a tight enough structure for your opening with enough space for them to play inside of it that it doesn't feel like a railroad. That is all I have to say on beginning your adventure. These are just some ideas that I have had, that I've seen other people use, that I've picked up along the way over the course of the last 5 years. Yeah, 5 years, 5.5 years. So use them, enjoy them, ignore everything I just said. Whatever works for you. Again, I don't know why I said again. I don't know what I was going to say. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys this morning. Wow, this is way sugarier than tea usually, so I'm a little out of it. That is all I have for you guys this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in and making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever. The more of you that do, the longer I will be able to keep doing this, and I really do enjoy doing it. So thank you so much again for all of the interaction and whatnot. And extra big thank you goes to my patrons over on Patreon. I couldn't do the show without you guys. I really, really appreciate your support. The link to the Patreon is in the description of this video. So go check it out if you want to and are able to support the show. I also put up homebrew content and stuff like that on there, so you'll not just be supporting the show, but you'll also get a couple little extra things a couple times a month. Please share this video with anybody that you think might like it. We are so close at the time of recording this to 100 subscribers, which is crazy because I announced this a week ago. So thank you guys so much for jumping on board already. But with that, that is everything I have for you guys. Thank you once again so much. And until next time, keep on rolling.